Welcome to this week's episode of our Indie Dev Showcase, where every week we examine 6 of the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future piece, please get in touch, and unless otherwise noted, these games were played with press keys or as demos from festivals. And we are starting off with the game Chiaroscuro, and I'm pretty sure I may have butchered that name. And this is from the Summer Festival, and this is described as an action-adventure game with Metroidvania elements. One thing to keep in mind is that the demo itself is described more as kind of a prototype rather than, anywhere near a completed build in terms of its design and scope. So the general idea, as you can tell by this footage, is that it's definitely reminiscent of Hollow Knight. We have a very basic kind of figure or statue there, and we have our lovely sword that we like to swing. Now, the game does have kind of like a melee or a stamina bar, at least at some points of it, but your main challenge is, of course, looking around, trying to upgrade your character, and discover unique things that can appear, and smacking that orb, as you saw right there. The controls felt good. Again, this is on the lines of Hollow Knight. It's not as advanced in terms of the movement of that game, but everything still felt good to play. Now, with that said, my major concern from this demo was that I really wasn't sure where I should be going in it. There is no in-game map, which means that you're kind of at the mercy of, where everything is. And if you've been watching this, you've noticed that it's very dark. That was not, my screen doing it. That's just how this game looks. And because of the aesthetic being, all, blacks, grays, and whites, none of the environments really stand out, which makes it even harder to kind of figure out, where you are and get your position in this world. Many areas will also kind of wrap around to each other, further making it confusing as to where you've been and where you need to go. So, with the prototype, I don't know if I would suggest this over a game like Hollow Knight. And it is a decent game, but I didn't really see anything new or stand out with it. But if you are a fan of action-adventure games and looking for another kind of Metroidvania style one, then this could be one to check out if you are a fan. We move from a world of blacks and grays to a world of color, and this is Reverie. This is another demo that we had a chance to look at during the festival. So this one is an adventure game. It has kind of like reminiscent of like Little Nemo and the Dream Master. Definitely more aimed at, I think, a younger audience than some of the other games that we've looked at. But the story is that one night after telling our baby sister a story, we awaken to find that our entire house has been transformed. There are strange creatures all around, and we consider ourselves to be a wizard. And we are going to have to try and figure out what's happened and save our family. And the general design, of course, is going to be more on the puzzle side. Like, I don't think you can be killed or hurt at any point in the game. And it definitely has, I think, charm to it. I really like kind of the display of color that the game is going for. In terms of kind of the puzzle design or the difficulty, it's very hard to get a good read on this, especially with this being a demo. But I did get a little bit stumped with some of the challenges. And you have your various items, and you can also use your little fire sprite there to do different things as well. And again, a demo of a point-and-click adventure game is probably very hard to get a good read on, but this seemed like it's going to be a very delightful story. And if you are looking for a point-and-click adventure game that's not going to be too hardcore or too disturbing for fans, then I would say keep an eye out for Reverie. for our next game, this is one that I really have high hopes for, and we played the demo of this one. This is Against the Storm, and the game is designed or is being described as a roguelike city builder, which right there already has my attention. Now please keep in mind that this was a demo from the 2020 Summer Festival, and I know developers have been working on refining and changing things around, so what you see may not represent whatever is the current state of it. So, for this game, our challenge is twofold. We need to build out a settlement to get this colony going, but at the same time we need to manage the wants and needs of the various people and the races involved. So we have a race of humans, I think it's a race of like beaver people and lizard people. Each one works at basically different jobs better. The beavers are, well, as I'm sure you can assume, are good at chopping down trees and working with wood. Lizard people are good at combat, and the humans are good at farming and other things. And your mission, with the maps being procedural each time, is that you need to build your colony, complete certain tasks to keep like your main kingdom happy, and you have to do all this with procedurally generated events that can show up, as well as different starting conditions. You can choose, what people to bring with you, as well as what resources or starting blueprints. So if, let's say, you want to make the human side more comfortable, you can start with their official building, which houses more humans and makes them happier. So in terms of resource management, the game works very similar to that of other kind of city builder style games. I believe this is what we would call a pool-based system, where you build structures, you assign people to them, and then those structures will generate services and needs that can then be sent to other places. So you're going to harvest trees, which will get turned into lumber, which can then be transformed into structures, and you get the picture. All the while, you need to manage your resources as well as the happiness of the people. If a specific group starts to become annoyed or unhappy, they may leave. And while you can't really see it too much at the bottom of the bar or the bottom of the screen there is kind of like a law and order and, happiness and dread meter. If the dread meter fills up all the way, your colony fails. And as you go out, you're going to uncover the various nodes or the various points of interest on the map, and this is where you'll find more resources, enemies you may have to fight, and generally trying to expand outward. It reminds me a little bit of like They Are Billions in that regard. So with all that said, I really love the concept for Against the Storm, but my main problem with the demo was the difficulty. This is one of those games that it becomes very easily to enter a downward spiral. Once people become unhappy, they're going to refuse to work. If they're going to refuse to work, you're not going to be able to gather resources and make them happier, which means more people won't get unhappy and you're dead. And you are very much at the mercy of the starting area. If you start out and you can't find an easily harvestable source of food and some of the other basic resources, you may not be able to recover in time in order to keep everybody happy. And I could not finish, or quote-unquote finish, the demo because my colony was just dying before we could even do anything. I really couldn't even get to see what combat was all about. And it feels like at this moment that you really have to play this game in one specific and optimized way to have any chance at winning. And I hope that as they balance and fine-tune the game, they're going to make things a little bit more flexible in terms of your start and expand on having more things to do as you go through it. But if you are a city builder fan, then keep an eye out for Against the Storm, and I'm really going to be interested to see where this game goes when it's released, I believe hopefully by the end of 2021. With that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back we have 3 more games to look at. But before that happens, if you're interested in my books on design, I have several of them available now. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with horror coming by the end of 2021. For our 4th game, we turn to Clan O'Connell and the Crown of the Stag. This is a game that is very much Lost Vikings by way of an action game rather than just being pure puzzle. We play as the 3 members of Clan O'Connell here, who are trying to save their family name from what appears to be an evil spirit that is cursing them. So we have our 3 characters you can see in the top left. Each character has different abilities and is designed to do different tasks. You have your main warrior here, who attacks with a sword. He has his hover glide, and is kind of your average middle-of-the-road character. The archer is your standard, high agility class. She can attack with range using her bow. She can jump a lot further, and is going to be designed to get around certain obstacles. And as you can see, when things are color-coded, that tells you who is going to be the best one for that job. While the 3rd character is your standard brute, very slow, but every time he hits something, he's going to wreck it kind of guy. He has the most health, and he can be used to break through objects, and it's kind of designed to be your boss killer, just punch everything kind of thing. And the gameplay itself, as you've seen so far, is more like action puzzle. You're going to explore around the area, you're going to complete puzzles, look for hidden things, and you're going to fight a boss at the end. From what I played of the demo, this seems like a very solid action kind of platformer style game. And if you are a fan of titles like that, then definitely check this one out. While I don't think it goes as crazy in terms of puzzles and challenges as something like the Trine games, it does have some decent diversity in terms of what you're going to be doing in it. And I would be interested in playing this one more if people want to see me go through the finished copy, as the game is out now. Now up, we have Weaving Tides. This is an action-adventure game. By the time you're watching this, the finished version should be out on Steam. This is played during the Summer Festival. So, our story is that we live in an airborne world that is entirely made up of yarn and fabric. And one day, our protagonists Tass and Klim here find that the world is unraveling. And it's up to us to not only figure out what happened, but find Tass's missing parents as well. So there's certainly a lot of drama and yarn to go around. The unique element of the game is that our dragon there can basically tie its fabric down as it goes through an area, and that's kind of measured by kind of the bar in the upper left. So to quote-unquote hurt enemies, we need to kind of tie them down with our ribbon, which we can also attach and set up patterns to solve puzzles, as you can see right here. And as the game goes on, you're going to find additional quests, unlocks, new enemies, and of course more things to stitch and tie down. My main concerns I had with this game, I believe I did get stuck at one of the puzzle sections. I wasn't sure what we need to do in terms of the pattern for it, but you do need to pay attention to kind of the perspective when you are tying things down. There are some parts where you need to tie down multiple things at the same time, and if you're coming at the wrong angle, you're not going to be able to get them all in time. Other than that though, this seems like yet another very charming indie game, and one to look at if you want to check out another unique action-adventure game. And it does seem like it's going to, I don't know if this is going to be so much aimed at a younger audience, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that brutal of a game to play. With that said, however, for our final game, we turn to something that is on the brutal side. This is Speed Limit, and the game had a free edition or a free update called the Arcade Edition. The footage you're seeing is from the demo we played during the summer festival. So this is a game that is basically, we're going to throw like every action movie trope and scenario at you. One day while you are on a train, you are accused of murder, a gun gets put into your hand, and now everybody is out to try and get you. And your mission is to survive and move from one scene to the next. Now, the challenge of this game is that it is all one-hit kills, and if anything touches you, it is back to the previous checkpoint. And this is one of those games that it's designed to be very old school in terms of its difficulty. This is a game that, until you know the exact route and what you need to do, you are going to lose, and you're going to see that rewind happen quite often. And it often felt like if I was doing the same thing, I was getting different results, such as like enemies spawning that would, one time they'll kill me, the next time I get away from them. But the game definitely has a very stylistic look to it, and this is definitely a game for action game fans. And if you aren't interested in something that can be on the frustrating side, then this one may not be for you. But there seems to be a lot of variety in terms of the scenario, as well as what you're going to be doing from scene to scene. So if you don't mind a little bit of difficulty and looking for a very varied action game, then you may be interested in checking out Speed Limit. With that said, we're going to wrap up this week's Indie Showcase here. I'd like to thank all developers for their games. You'll find links to them in the description down below. If you'd like to submit a game for a future showcase, please get in touch. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.